Hi, friends. Welcome to the Hey Fundraiser podcast. I'm your host, Mary Petersen, and whether you're a frontline fundraiser, an executive director, a board member, or someone just wanting to make an impact in your community, this podcast is for you. We cover all facets of fundraising, and our main objective is to give you ideas and inspiration to help you raise more money. Join us as we grow, learn, and make an impact together. Hey Fundraiser, welcome back to the Hey Fundraiser podcast. I'm Mary. Today, we are talking about one of the most powerful tools in major gift fundraising. And it has nothing to do with having the best proposal, having an amazing case statement, having a super clean database, none of those things. What we're talking about today is what happens in the 10 seconds right after you ask. Because here's what I see all the time. A fundraiser makes a super strong ask and then immediately ruins it by sprinting into a word avalanche. They add disclaimers, they soften, they negotiate against themselves, they talk like they're trying to convince the donor and themselves at the same time. So today is a full training on silence after the ask. I want to walk you through why silence is your friend, not your enemy, why it feels awkward, exactly how long to pause, what to do with your face and your body while you're sitting there, what not to say, and what to do immediately after the donor responds so the moment moves forward cleanly. If you've ever asked for a major gift and then started talking because you felt awkward, this episode is going to change your life. So let's get into it. The moment right after the ask is where the decision starts forming. And silence is what gives the donor space to actually decide. I mean, here's the truth. And if you really think about it, your donor can't process a decision while you're talking. They can listen to you or they can think. They can't do both. So if you ask and then keep talking, you are literally preventing your donor from thinking through their answer. And all I want you to really hear is this. If you fill the silence, you're not being helpful. You're managing your own discomfort. Now, there's no judgment here. This is not a shame moment. We've all done it. This is a skills moment. Silent after the ask does three things. First, it communicates confidence. When you ask and pause, you signal to your donor or prospect, I'm okay with whatever you decide. This can build trust. Secondly, it gives the donor ownership over the decision. You're not dragging them across the finish line by throwing all kinds of words at them. You're letting them step into it. And there's a lot of grace there. Third, it reveals reality. When you give space, you see what's true. You're going to see readiness or hesitation, confusion, misalignment, timing issues. Like silence gives you information that you can actually work with. Now, let's talk about why silence after the ask feels so hard. Because after you ask, your brain does this. Okay, I just put a number on the table. If they say no, that means something about me. So what happens is your nervous system goes into protection mode. And protection mode sounds like this, but only if you want to. There's no pressure here. We could go for a smaller gift. We're really grateful for anything. Or maybe we could break it up over a couple years. Or maybe I should explain it differently. That is the moment you talk yourself out of your own ask, fundraiser. And donors feel it. Because when you start negotiating against yourself, what the donor hears is, she doesn't believe this is worthwhile. Or, this is uncomfortable and I should rescue her. Or, I can delay this and she'll let me. So silence after the ask is not awkward. It's the donor doing the work you've just invited them to do. Here's how to do silence after the ask without being weird. 1, decide your silence before the ask. You cannot wing this. You have to pre-commit. I mean, literally tell yourself, after I ask, I will stop talking. Step 2, ask your question in one sentence. Like the cleaner the ask, the easier the silence. So an ask would be something like, Sarah, would you consider a gift of 25,000 to make this amazing outcome possible? That's it. No second sentence. Step 3, pause for 5 seconds. I want you to literally count in your head 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, all the way to 5. 5 seconds is going to feel like a year. We know this. I know this. You know this. It's normal. If the donor is clearly thinking, keep going till you count to 10. The goal is not to make it dramatic. The goal is really just to give space. Here's step 4, which is I want you to hold like a warm, neutral face. So what you need to avoid is the apologetic face, the pleading face, the panic smile, the please say yes eyebrows. Your face should say, I'm here, I'm present, you take your time. Like a small, calm smile is fine. Step 5, I want you, if you can, to stay still-ish. Don't start shuffling papers, fidgeting, reaching for the water bottle like you've just walked through a desert. Stillness communicates confidence. And then step 6 is if you need a rescue line, I want you to use 1 sentence. If silence starts to feel tense or weird, you can say, take your time, or no rush, or I want you to have space to think. 1 sentence. Then stop again. Not a paragraph, not an apology, not talking yourself out of the gift, not talking your donor out of the gift. Just 1 quick, I acknowledge that you're thinking, take your time. So I want to move to what not to do after the ask. And this is where most fundraisers kind of lose the moment. Here's what you cannot do. You don't want to discount the gift before the donor responds. Like if you asked for 25,000 and then you say, or we could lower it down to 10, you just negotiated against yourself. If the donor wants to counter, let them counter. Secondly, please do not apologize for asking for a gift. Don't say, I'm sorry, that's a lot, because what you're doing is you're planting like seeds of doubt, and those seeds are going to grow into oaks, and you don't want that. Third is don't fill the silence with more information. Because they're thinking and taking a moment, you don't need to repitch. The donor heard you, they're thinking, just let them think. Fourth, and lastly, I don't want you to rescue the donor from the decision. So some fundraisers try to soften the moment by saying, it's totally fine if now is not the right time. You can respect timing without removing the decision. You're allowed to guide next steps. So you've made your ask. The silence works because you have a plan for what's next. So here are a couple scenarios. Scenario 1, the donor says yes. Your job is to acknowledge and clarify next steps. And then what I would do is like a happy dance in the car later. Now, you want to say to your donor, thank you. This means so much. Here's what happens next. I'm going to send you a follow-up recap today, and we'll make it easy from here. So you're just keeping it clean. You're saying that the ball's in your court. You're going to either send them a proposal or a pledge form or something. Scenario B is that the donor says, I need to think about it. Now, fundraiser, this is not a no. This is just the start of the next step. What you want to say is, of course, what would be helpful as you think? Would you like more conversation? Would you like more information? Or really, do you just need more time? Then schedule the decision conversation. Let's connect on Friday or maybe next Monday. Which one would be better? Like you're giving them 2 choices, they're going to choose. That line is everything. Because if you don't schedule, then you end up checking in. And that, I'm doing air quotes, that checking in is like fundraising purgatory. I don't want you to live there. So scenario C is the donor hesitates or dodges. If the donor says, well, we love the organization, ... you need to say, we really appreciate that. I want to make this easy for you. how does this feel to you right now? And then, of course, pause again so that the donor can respond. When they're teetering like this, your job is to get curious. Susan, tell me what you're thinking. Tim, talk to me about what's going through your mind. Because then what's happening is you're collaborating on a solution. So the final scenario D, is the donor says no. The first thing you can say is, thank you for being honest with me. And then you want to clarify. Can I ask what's driving the no? Is it the timing? Is it the amount? Is it the program? So you're not arguing, you're learning. Like, this is not a defensive stance. This is a curious stance. Then, depending on the answer, you can pivot. You can propose a smaller, aligned next step, a different fund or program or project to fund, or we can revisit this in a future date. But your tone needs to be very calm and very respectful. So here's your practice assignment, fundraiser. In your next donor meeting, do one intentional silence after the ask. Ask with one sentence, really one question. Would you consider a gift of $100,000 to fund X? Pause for 5 seconds and hold your neutral, nonverbal communication cues. Then respond with a next step question if needed. So silence after the ask, it's such a skill. And like every major gift skill, it gets easier with reps, right? You need the muscle memory. If you want the exact language for what to say after the ask, especially when it comes to people saying, I'll think about it, or not now, or decision scheduling, I wrote it all down for you in my book, which is What to Say, 12 Major Gift Asks to Get a Yes. So I'll go ahead and put a link in the show notes. And if you want coaching or a complete system so your asks stop feeling like isolated high stakes moment, Major Gift Momentum is open and you can join at any time. So I'm going to put a link down below. So fundraiser, just a closing note. Once you do this silence for many years, not silence for many years, but once you do the silence in your asking, and over time, you're going to get stronger at this. And for me, what happened was I literally started seeing my donors think. So I would make an ask, and I would sit there, and you have to remember, it might be awkward for you, but it's not awkward for them. They're literally processing and thinking. They're thinking things like, oh, I've got twin granddaughters. I've always told them that I would pay for their college. They're seniors this year. Like, could I swing 2 college tuitions and this? Or they're thinking, gosh, I just put a bunch of money into a 6-month CD. So that's going to be tied up for a spell. Like, they're literally thinking and going through their finances and trying to figure out how they can do this gift. Don't interrupt their thinking. Let them have the space. So, fundraiser, send this episode to a fundraising friend who needs permission to stop talking. All right, go ask clearly, pause confidently, and let your donor decide. Hey Fundraiser, thanks so much for being here today. Did you know that we create a special page for each episode that contains helpful links, episode highlights, standout quotes, and freebies? Check it out in today's podcast description. If you loved what you heard today, would you kindly give us a rating and review? It really helps other fundraising professionals find our Hey Fundraiser community. I'm Mary Petersen, and thank you for listening.